Hello, everybody. Sunday Adelaja here. Shegun Fatuma, welcome. Oluwatoyin Bidemi, Obi Ojimadu, welcome, everyone. Eric Osadolo, Victoria Salau, Bose Fayanjola, Fumi Jaboda, Lola Fai, Jintana, Gladys Nshang, Liz Ekax, Purity Life, Nkeiru Marizu, welcome, Nkiru Jimadu, Lola Shorunke, Theodore Otto, Folusho Agbaje, T.Y. Moore, J.C. Linde, Esheje Michael, Immaculate. Nice to see all of you. Please, as you are coming in, please let's go ahead and make sure that we share the link. Let's go ahead and share the link as you are coming in right now. Go share the message. Let's press our share button. You have your share button somewhere. So let's go ahead and press the share button, please, so that we could spread the word. You know, I'm in town right now, and I might have to leave at any time. So we want to start as fast as possible. Please share the link and press the share button. Let's go and invite our friends and let's get started. And when you are sharing the link, please make sure you also write some remarks or some comments for your friends to be able to join, so that they will know why it is important that they join in this program. Of course, we are continuing the series we started with the women. We are continuing the series on the women, and the topic today is men don't like to be married to, in quote-unquote, problem. So, women, there's only one way for us, only one way out. Women need to think maturity. Women need to think maturity. So, it's to your benefit. It's to your own good. Men don't like to be married to problems. Men don't like to be married to problems. Men don't like to be married to problems. So, the only way out for the ladies, is to think maturity. Is to work on yourself to be as matured as possible, and to work on it, and to try to make sure that you are not going to be dependent on any man, and that you will not have to be a burden to any person. Unfortunately, women sometimes think that men are there to resolve their problems. Women sometimes think that it should be the joy of the man to help them resolve their situations. But you know what? Men of these days, it is back in the days when men used to go to war and give their lives to rescue or to fight for the lady that they are in love with. I mean, kingdoms used to fight against kingdoms. Kings would go to war just to win the heart of one woman. And they would not just resolve our problems, they would do everything. So they would even risk their own lives to get the attention of the woman they love. But today, I'm sorry, we are living in a world of irresponsible men. We are living in a world of egocentric men. And we are living in a world of selfish kings. So, and because the women also have made themselves so easily accessible and rather cheap, as a result, the men don't see the need. The men don't seem to see the need for them to sacrifice or go the extra mile for the sake of the lady. So, instead of men marrying ladies and taking care of them and resolving their problems for them? You know what men are thinking about now. You know what they're thinking about. You understand more than me what they're thinking about. Men are busy thinking about marrying a lady that will not only be free of problems and issues, but they're actually thinking of marrying a lady that will be able to help them out. I mean, that's not the way it's supposed to be. If you listen to my teachings last week, you know exactly what my attitude is towards the responsibility of men in marriage. And my belief is that men should take total control, and men should be responsible for the relationship and for the marriage and for the ladies. But that is, if you want to hear my opinions about men and about their attitude and response to marriage, then you have to listen to last week's session. If you miss it, follow one of the links that we provide here and go and listen to it. But I'm just talking reality right now. I'm talking reality. And the reality of things is that, unfortunately, men these days, they are actually looking for women that will have money. They are looking for women that will have jobs. They are looking for women that will be able to help them out with their responsibilities. They are looking for women that will pay 50% of their rent, or the taking care of the house, or that they will share responsibility with. So they say, we take care of the house, you take care of the food, or we take care of the car, you take care of the feeding, and things like that. That's not the way it's supposed to be. But, you will make things easier for yourself if you at least don't come to the marriage with baggages. If you don't come to the marriage with burden, with your own extra baggage, with some extra load, as they say it. And men actually run away from women when they realize that the woman is having issues. Men run away from women when they see that the woman is having issues, especially not just little problems, but if you have real challenges, real problems, men will begin to find a way to escape. And that is irresponsible. That cannot be justified by any means. It can never be justified, that kind of attitude. But you know what? If you if you love yourself, if you don't want to be, you don't want any man to look down on you, even if he doesn't run away, even if the man doesn't run away, you know what? The man could come back and begin to, even if he takes responsibility for your problems, the man could come back and begin to remind you of how he has resolved your problems, and how you came with all these problems, and how you are nothing, and how he made you who you are. You don't want a man to begin to look down at you and begin to tell you that if not for him, you would have become nothing, or you wouldn't have had what you are having today. And you don't want a man that will be reminding you that you came with problems, you had this problem and you have that problem. I am the one who resolved them for you. If not for me, you will be nothing, you will not be anything. So a man could, help you right now, but later on use that as an excuse to enslave you. He could later on use that as an excuse to make you to be submissive and to be unlawfully submissive, or illicitly submissive in areas or in ways where you are not supposed to be submissive. So I'm saying maybe not just being ordinarily submissive as a wife to a husband, but a man could use that to become a manipulative instrument. A man could begin to manipulate the fact that, okay, you are having this problem, you are having that problem, I helped you, if not for me, you wouldn't have done that. And so he will begin to demand from you things that you would not have done ordinarily. So that's why it's just safer. It's safer for you as a woman to make sure that you are able to resolve your own problems and your own issues before you marry, just for your own good, so that you'll be able to go into that marriage not as a burden, so that you'll be able to go into that marriage but as to be a blessing rather to him, but not being a blessing like taking responsibilities for his own duties or for his own responsibilities. No, but at least so that you will know that you are going to that relationship and nobody will be able to point accusing fingers at you and say that you came with all these baggages and loads and that's why the marriage didn't work or anything like that. So men don't like to marry what they regard or count to be problems. So make sure as a lady you think maturity. And one of the areas where you need to show maturity and think maturity is to think about your own life. Is to think about the ability to take care of yourself, the ability to be able to know that you are in the position to resolve your problems. Before you even begin to think about any man, before you begin to think about marriage, make sure that you are doing well with your own life. Make sure that you are able to resolve your own issues and that before the man comes, you are able to resolve the issues. Because I know a lot of instances when women actually went into marriages not being able to resolve their own issues, not being able to resolve their own problems, and they go into marriage and the man helped them, or maybe they came into the marriage without much problem, but later on the man left, and the man wanted to leave. And a lot of women are in that situation today. They are suffering in marriages where they are not supposed to be in the first place. A lot of women are just suffering and enduring, horrible oppressions, horrible pain, and horrible humiliation, just because they are afraid that if they leave, they will not be able to make it. They are afraid that if they leave, they will not be able to survive. Especially in developing countries. In Africa, a lot of women are having all these children, 2, 3, 4, 5 children, and they cannot leave the family even though they are being oppressed, even though they are being abused, even though they are being humiliated, but they are not leaving. They are not leaving because they feel that they cannot survive it otherwise. So they feel, how would they be able to take care of their children? How would they be able to take care of themselves? So they just keep on suffering in those marriage and those relationships. That is why it is safer for the lady to have her own skills, to have her own job, to have her own profession, to have been able to take care of herself before she goes into a marriage. So if you now go into a marriage and something doesn't work out, you will not feel like you have to remain there. You don't have to feel that you are obliged to remain there because he's paying for your food, or he's paying for your housing, or he's taking care of your children, and you will not say, well, there's nowhere for me to go. And because you are not used to existing by yourself, you are not used to taking care of yourself. So if you are not used to it before marriage, it is much more difficult for you to learn how to make a living for yourself after marriage. Because before marriage, you are totally free. Before marriage, you could manage your life and plan your life anyhow you want. You could get a job and work and take care of your need. If you couldn't take care of your need by yourself before marriage, it's like being at the mercy of another person in marriage. And if anything goes wrong, if that man begins to behave funny, for you to begin to start to learn to take care of yourself, for you to begin to learn to work and meet your own needs, might be very, very difficult, might be much more difficult than you could ever imagine. Of course, it is going to be definitely more difficult than before you were married. And God forbid, if you have children now and the man is leaving you and you are no more as young, you are no more 20 years old, and you have to now go and work and get a job, you just imagine how difficult that is. Just imagine how difficult that is. That is why a lot of women have to endure what they are enduring. A lot of women have to endure the pain and the disgrace and the shame of remaining in marriages where they are not happy, where they are frustrated, where they are absolutely, they feel horrible. But they have to remain in those kind of marriages because they just think that there is no other thing for them to do, and there is no way for them to take care of themselves otherwise. So what I'm saying is that a woman must think about maturity. She must think about being matured. not just mentally, not just psychologically, not just physically in her body, but she must be matured, even no socially. She must be matured economically and financially. She must be matured enough to be able to meet her own needs, take care of her own needs, and resolve her own problems, so that whatever happens, at least she's skillful enough. She's skillful enough to be able to take care of her needs, and she knows she will find a way and she will make a living. A woman should never depend on a man 100%. You should never trust your life in the hand of a human being. Even your own parents, even your own family, don't ever put your life in a total dependency of any human being. Talk less of a man. I mean, men, things could happen with men. It happens every day. Men run away with other women. Men go and leave their wives and they go and follow another woman. Men die. Men, fall sick. Men, anything could happen. So you must just learn to make a living by yourself first before you marry. You have to learn to do that first before you marry. Because before you marry, you are free. You don't have children. You don't have some responsibilities too much. So it is now that you have to train yourself. It is now you have to learn some skills and work on yourself, so that at least you will know what to do something. So the only thing that you do now when you marry, and if any problem comes, is that you just need to remember how you used to survive before then, and go back to the skills you used to have, to the job you used to have. And because you are already used to surviving, you are already used to making a living, it's going to be much more easier for you. But if you have never worked before, if you are just coming from high school, or you are just coming from college and you marry immediately, things are really going to be difficult for you. Last week, when I was talking to the men, I made mention to them that it is wrong for men to be thinking that all women are prostitutes. And if you don't know, I'm sorry, women, for this word, but this is the mindset out there with a lot of men. A lot of men feel that women are promiscuous and that all women are prostitutes, and that is absolutely crazy. And that is so last week I was spending a lot of time to prove to the men that it is wrong. It is a wrong idea. Men are not promiscuous by nature. Women are not promiscuous by nature. It is the men that are promiscuous by nature, not women. Women, it is not their nature to be promiscuous. But you know what? I tell you what, a lot of, maybe 90% of the women that are promiscuous in marriage, or that are married and are having lovers and having extramarital affairs, is only because they have not been treated very well by their men. And let me tell you what, this particular factor that I'm talking about, this factor of maturity, is one of the reasons why women are forced to do what they would never have done otherwise. A lot of women would never have considered going to have sex outside of marriage, or going to have a lover outside of marriage. But I personally know a lot of women, both here in Ukraine, in my country, where I live, and both overseas, in Africa, America, Europe. Yeah, I know a lot of women who are married, but they are forced to have lovers. And the reason why they have to have a lover is because the man is not bringing in enough money, or the man cannot take care of them, and they cannot work. Either because they cannot work, they are having children, they have to sit at home, or they are working but the money is not enough. There is just no way for them to survive, and the man is telling them, survive anyhow you want, or go and work, or go and make money. And the woman just doesn't have any other option. And some women keep on blaming them and say, oh, okay, if she's really a Christian, she would not have done that, or I would not have done that. Please, let's stop that kind of talk that you would not have done that. Never say never. You don't know what could happen in life. You know what? Never judge anybody if you have never been to where they are coming from. If you have never been in the position of another person, never you judge them. You don't know what could happen in life. A lot of women, they are not promiscuous. And actually, as a matter of fact, I've told people before that, as far as I know, I work with a lot of women here who are prostitutes in our church, and these women who have been prostitutes before, sorry, and they are now saved, and they tell me this, that there is no woman that is a prostitute that does it as a joy. That all prostitutes have to use either alcohol or have to use drugs, or has to numb themselves. They have to numb themselves emotionally. They have to really knock themselves out and switch off their mind, switch off their emotions before they could engage in that prostitution, because they are forced into it. I mean, as a matter of fact, I know people here who go to work. I know women who go to work every day, and their husbands think they are going to work, but they only go to work to be with their lover, or to be with their boyfriend, or to be with another man, or to even work in bordel, because that's the only way they're keeping the family going, and that's the only way they keep themselves going, because there's just no other way for them to survive. And this is because of the responsibility of men. But why am I talking about this? Because it is not just the men's irresponsibility, but the thing that the ladies also did not work on before they marry. These ladies have married without thinking maturity, like I'm talking now. These ladies have married without thinking that anything could happen in life. These ladies have gone to marry thinking that their husband will take care of them, thinking that marriage is for life, thinking that things will never go wrong, just believing the man, or believing and just going into a relationship thinking that everything will be okay. And then things get bad because they get pregnant, then they have one child, then the second child, then the third child, and then life just keeps on rolling like that. And then the man either leaves, or the man stops giving them money, or the man is just giving them enough money for them just to eat. They cannot take care of themselves. I mean, I know a woman that was telling me that she has to be going to the husband to beg for money, that please, with this child, this is how much the children need, $100 maybe this month to be able to feed and to us to eat, and he will give them $50. And she said, the only thing I could do is to go, and I couldn't do any other thing. And you know what? Satan knows what to do. Satan will bring man or some men to the woman immediately that happens. And she cannot walk, she's not being taken, she's just being forced to do that. So for you not to be forced into something you would not like to do, for you not to be forced into prostitution or into promiscuity or into illicit sexual relationship, you know what, ladies? Think before you get in. Think before you get into any relationship, or a marriage relationship, especially where you have children, where you'll be pregnant. I mean, so think maturity, ladies. Think maturity. Think maturity and learn maturity. Learn to be skillful. Learn to work. Learn to sustain yourself. Learn to take care of yourself, and learn to to solve your own problems now, so that when the time comes and anything goes wrong, you will still be in the position to take care of yourself, or to go back to sustaining yourself or taking care of yourself without compromising your values, without compromising your position and your life. So now let me go into the explanation of what is maturity for a lady. So what is maturity? When I say that a lady must be matured before she goes or considers marriage, what do I mean? What is maturity? How does a lady, or a man, what does it mean to be matured? Now, maturity is the ability of a person to soundly discern a situation. The ability to look at any situation and give a sound judgment. the ability to, to have a sound judgment in any given situation. So the ability to look at any situation and be able to give the correct and sound judgment about that situation. So, because a lot of people, if you are not matured, you will not be able to look at a situation. For example, if I bring out $1 million now, and I give that $1 million to a 5-year-old girl, the 5-year-old girl or boy is not matured enough to give a sound assessment, of what $1 million will do. But if I give that $1 million to a 30-year-old lady or man or 50-year-old woman or man, the person knows exactly what $1 million means. So what is the difference between the 5-year-old boy and the 50-year-old man? Because of their maturity, the 5-year-old is not mature enough to have a discretion, about what to assess the thing she's having in her hand. She will not be able to give adequate and mature assessment or mature judgment to the situation at hand. She will not be able to judge what is the value of this situation, what is the real thing that I've put in her hand. So that's what happens. So maturity is the ability to judge, to give the right judgment, or to give the perfect judgment or perfect assessment to a situation. So you are able to look at a situation from every angle, from different angles, and you are able to give a perfect judgment about what is going on. You are able to understand what is going on, but unfortunately, a lot of ladies enter into relationships because they are not matured. And in fact, I would say that maybe up to 50% of marriages that ever take place in the world, all over the world, they are as a result of immaturity. Because ladies go into relationships, they agree to marry and to go into marriage without having adequate judgment about the situation. They don't have adequate or mature judgment about the men. They don't have the correct judgment, sound judgment about they cannot assess the man properly. They cannot give the right judgment, the mature judgment, the accurate judgment about the man. And so because of wrong judgment, they enter into marriage. I would say 50% of all the relationships, of all marriages in the world, are entered into out of wrong judgment. And why is it that women, take the wrong judgment and enter into relationship, judging wrongly and, not valuing, not assessing correctly the situation, not even assessing themselves correctly and not assessing the man correctly? What is responsible for wrong judgment when it comes to wedding and relationship? Why are women always making the wrong judgment? The reason is because they are not looking and assessing that situation from every aspect, from every angle. They are not considering all the things that they are supposed to consider. And that is why I'm teaching on this topic today. That, this is part of maturity. Maturity requires you to analyze all situations. Maturity requires you to consider all, factors, that are surround before you agree to marry a man or to go into a marriage. You want to assess everything. You want to, ask the right questions. You want to, you want to be able to take an informed decision. And when you cannot take an informed decision and you still take the decision, that is a sign of immaturity. When you don't have all the information that is necessary and you still go into that relationship, that is a sign of immaturity. When you have not spoken to all the people you needed there to speak to, and you still agree to enter into to put your life and put your life down, lay your life down into a relationship and go into a relationship there's a lifetime engagement, lifetime contract, and you've not spoken to all the right people, that is lack of judgment right there. That is a sign of immaturity. When you have not asked yourself questions about your level of health, if you have been healed or not, what's your state of mind if you are ready or not. You have not asked yourself questions about how ready you are to be able to solve your own problem, to be able to not to be a burden to another person, or what will happen if this person dupes me or jilts me or lets me down or goes away. What will I do? If you are not able to answer those questions before you go into marriage, those are signs of immaturity. So maturity is the ability of a man to be able to look at any situation and give a sound judgment and be able to take the right decision to assess the whole situation adequately from all angles, and be able to come to the right conclusion. So a mature person has a set of values. A mature person has a set of value system that helps him to make the right decision. A mature person makes decisions not based on his emotions. A mature person takes decisions not based on his feelings. A mature person bases his decisions not just on his emotion or how he's feeling at this particular time. A mature person bases his own decisions on some set of value systems, on some principles that he has developed, on some core principles, on some core values that that he knows to be truth, even though his emotion is telling him to act a certain way. But because of the truth that he knows, and because of the facts that he is aware of, the facts that he knows, he will not take those decisions. So a sign of maturity is the ability of a person to not to take emotional decisions, or not to base his decisions on emotions only. A matured person will base his decisions on convictions. Number one, a matured person will base his decisions on principles. Thirdly, a matured person will base his or her decisions on ideals. A matured person have some ideals that are guiding him, that are protecting him, that are protecting him from every angle. So he's basing those decisions on those ideals. He's basing those decisions on those principles. He's basing those decisions on those convictions. I mean, those convictions are the anchors that are holding you together, even when your emotions are gone, even when your emotions are letting you down. But you have some standards, and it is those standards that that hold you on when you yourself cannot hold yourself. But you know that these things are right, and you do those things. So for example, as a pastor, I've had issues and cases when divorced men have come to members of my church or to ladies in my church and want to marry them. So one of the principles that I teach ladies is that whenever a divorced man approaches you to marry you, you should listen to him. But apart from listening to him, please go and speak to his former wife. Go and speak to his former spouse. Almost all the ladies listen to me and say, okay. But almost none of them does it. Because they are thinking, he doesn't want me to speak to the former wife. He doesn't want me to speak to the former wife. Why? Because he's thinking you don't trust me. If you trust me, you will not go and speak to the lady. I told you already what happened. You should believe me. Now, if you believe me, why should you go to speak to her? Why do you need to go and speak to her? I told you already, if you go to speak to her, you don't believe me. And then the lady will say, okay, I don't want to go and speak to her because it will look as if I don't trust him. You know what? It's your life. If you are going to give your life and commit your whole life to this man, and this man has already failed before, has failed maybe 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, has been married, no woman will leave a man. No. Ordinarily, women don't just walk away from their marriages like that. Women don't just walk away from marriages. So if a woman has already walked out on him, I beg you, women don't walk out on good husbands. If a woman finds a good husband, then she would use her life to fight for that husband. She will use her life to defend and protect her marriage. But if this man a woman has walked out of his life and is now telling you that he's so good, he's an angel, and he's the woman that is bad. And that is the funny thing. A lot of times, these ladies will believe his stories. A lot of times, the ladies will believe the stories of this man, and therefore, they will just, they will go into another marriage until the same thing begins to happen to them again. Until the same thing begins to happen to them. The same thing that happened to that man and the former wife will begin to happen to this new woman. And she will now be saying, well, I didn't know. Because you didn't take a mature decision. That is an immature decision without, considering everything. That is lack of sound judgment. That is lack of sound judgment. So, a woman that refuses to go and speak to the former relationships or to the former girlfriend, it's not just about marriage. Even girlfriend, if this guy used to have a girlfriend before, and the girlfriend walked out, and he used to have a girlfriend, and the boyfriend is no more with him, you should go and speak to that girlfriend, the former girlfriend. Go and speak to the girlfriend and find out. Go and snoop, or go and use your friends to snoop, or go and use your friends to go and talk to the girl and find a way to find out from the other girl why she left, why she walked out. Then make your own balanced judgment. Make your own balanced judgment after that. So, if it's the other way around, yes, why not? I think that if it's the man should do the same thing. Yeah, the man should do the same thing. But if you find out what he has done or she has done, and you are comfortable with it, and you are okay with it, with whatever the reason is, or you think you could live with it, at least that is your own problem. You now know you can live with it, and you decided to live with it. But you will not say you are not informed. You will not say you didn't know what happened. You know what happened. You can talk about it. You can choose to forgive. You can choose to close your eyes. You can choose to overlook it. But at least you will be prepared. So, the reason why you should go and talk to the former partner or the former boyfriend or girlfriend is not because for you to refuse the relationship. You don't want to turn down the relationship because of that, but you want to find out, is it lying? Is it a liar or not? Is it lying to you or he told you the truth? And then you also want to be able to find out what you are supposed to face and what you are supposed to meet in your future marriage and what you'll be dealing with. And then you have to take your own informed decision. Am I ready to deal with this? Will I be able to forgive this? Will I be able to live with this, or I will not be able to live with it? And then you talk it over with the man. So that is maturity, the ability to be able to talk it over and be able to now take a decision to move forward or to move back or to go back. And so these are the kind of things that show that you are matured enough, because you are taking an informed decision that is based on principles, and you are going to that relationship knowing that yes, you are able to survive it, and that everything is okay, that you don't care what the guy has done, you can forgive the person. So that is very important, my dear. That is absolutely very important. So, and for a lady, that ability to be able to take mature decisions, they will not come by accident. Those abilities don't just come by themselves. You have to develop them. So a woman should not even be thinking of getting married or of giving a man a chance, or of dating a man without developing your your maturity without developing your principles. You've got to have a set of principles that you know that are going to protect you and guide you, and you've got to be able to take the right decisions. You've got to be able to, take informed decisions before you go into any relationship. So these are kind of things that are needed to be done, to have been done by any woman before she goes into any relationship. So what these principles and these ideals and these value systems will do for you, the ability to live by value systems, the ability to live by your standard, the ability to live by the truth and by principles, what they will do to you is that they will help you to remain stable in life. They will help you to be well informed and to always be in charge. They will help you to always be in control of your life. They will help you to keep your life steady and to keep your life going. If you don't have principles, emotions will just be throwing you up and down. Your emotions will just be like a storm. Life will treat you like a storm. It will be as if you are in the middle of an ocean, and the storm is just throwing you up and down if you don't have principles. So principles are the things that will help you to sail through life and to scale through life situations and life storms. So a matured life is a life that is based on principles. So a matured life is a life that is always doing things based on certain principles, certain truths, that those are the anchors that the person has built his life on, the foundations. So there must be the principles are your ground, are your foundations. They are your foundational principles that guide you and make you to navigate. So even if you get into a bad situation or a bad relationship, you can walk out. Why? Because you are not supposed to be a slave. You are a princess of God. You are if you need to walk out, you will walk out. If you need to stay, you will stay. And for example, a lot of people in America, they don't respect and they don't like Hillary Clinton because she stayed with their husband when the husband had an affair. Well, I think rather that she's rather a lady of a woman of principle, because she has given the man a word, and she had committed to this. She had committed her life to that marriage, and she dealt with her demons, she dealt with her problems, and she decided to forgive a man. She decided to stay with him. And I think that is the Christian position to do, because the Bible said love covers a multitude of sin. So she had looked into herself, looked into her principle that she could forgive him, she could stay with him, and that's why she stayed. But other women are mad. Why didn't you leave? Why didn't you do this? You are lame, you bad example. But it's a principle, and that is actually the best principle, because when you marry, you say for good, for better, or for worse. So she could deal with it, but there are some other women that might say, no, I cannot deal with this, I cannot deal with it. And because they don't have the strength, they don't have the principles built in them, the stamina built in them to stay in that marriage. So, they're also free to take their decision, but because, but it depends on you. So make sure that your value systems are there to help you take informed decisions at all times. Your value systems are the things that will help you to take informed decisions at any time. So another reason why you have to make sure you are matured before you go into a relationship is that, one, there are 4 things that maturity will help you deal with in marriage. If, let's say, you've decided to marry, and you want to now build, you want to, let's say you have decided to go into a marriage. So what will maturity help you do? Let me just quickly give you these 4 points. Maturity will help you in 4 areas of your marriage. 1, maturity will help you What is maturity? The ability to take informed decisions, the ability to, to have sound judgment in all situations, the ability to base your decisions and judgment on principles, the ability to see things the way they are and base your decisions on your principles, on standards, on your truth, on the truth that you live by. So, what are the 4 areas that developing maturity will help you deal with in marriage? Number 1, maturity will help you to be able to combine family and career. Because immature men, women who marry without being matured, once they go into marriage and they begin to have children, their whole life just go awry. Everything they just lose control. They just lose it. They just lose it. They will not, because like I said, marriage does not reduce your problems. Marriage multiplies your problems at least 10 times. So no matter how good your husband is, even if your husband is Jesus Christ, if you go into marriage with him, your problems that you were having before will be multiplied 10 times. So let's say you're having one problem before, it will increase to there will be 10 other problems that will appear in marriage without, either you like it or not. So maturity, the ability to be mature before that marriage, is what will help you to be able to cope, because you are already used to coping before that marriage. You are already used to living by principles. You are already used to living by the truth. So when you marry now, one of the greatest challenges you will face is how to balance family and career. But for a matured woman, for a woman that is already used to, not just living by emotions or living by feelings, but for a woman that is used to living by principles or living by standards, she will be able to organize her life. She will be able to organize her family. She will be able to put everything in their place, and she will be able to put standards and principles that will guide every area of her life, so that she is able to manage her family, and her family is running well like a clock, and then she's able to manage her career, and her career is working as a clock. So she is not messed up between career and family and running herself crazy. And a lot of women are running themselves crazy because they don't know how to manage. And the reason they don't know how to manage is because they had not practiced that maturity before they went into the marriage. They had not practiced maturity before they went into marriage. They were not used to taking informed decisions and having judgment and taking their decision based on certain principles that have guided them and helped them to live a matured life. So maturity is going to help you to balance between your career or between your profession and your family. Now, as a man, I personally think that a man must not require the wife to marry, to work. I feel that every man that is really responsible should be able to provide enough and adequately for the wife, so that the wife doesn't have to work. Now, if she wants to work, she can work, but more like a hobby, but even then, even if your husband is providing for you and you don't have to work, which is good, which is the ideal situation, that the woman doesn't have to work, the man will provide for him. But still, even if he's providing for you, you still have some other things you have to combine with your family. Maybe you have a ministry, or maybe you have your hobby, or maybe you have things that you like to do that which you still need to combine with that family. So maturity and living by principles rather than by emotions will really help you to know how to cope with your family obligations and your social duties and your profession or career growth. So that's number one thing that maturity will give you in marriage. Number two thing that maturity will give you in marriage is when you begin to have children. Most people, when they begin to have children, they stop having their own lives. If one thing that maturity will do for you is that you will even if you're beginning to have children, you could still have children and maintain an interesting life. You could still have your own children and still have an interesting life, which is not easy. Women, when they begin to have children, their lives is normally buried in those children for the next 10, 15 years of their lives is just messed up. They're just hardly, because they are pregnant, then they are back, then they give birth, then they have to breastfeed, and then by the time the baby walks, that's about 2 years or 3 years before it to go to school or kindergarten. By the time it goes to kindergarten, she's getting pregnant again, and her life is just all messed up. Normally, women who are having children, who are having young children and giving back to children, normally they are a mess. They don't have life at all. Some of them don't even remember. Some of them, they lose those years. So those years, they are not productive at all for them. Those years are just like catastrophic years. Those years are just years of losses and pain and tragedy, and women just bury themselves and they just sacrifice their lives. So, but maturity will help you to be a mother, breastfeed, pregnancy, and still have your own parallel life and still live an interesting life for yourself, and still be able to have your own social life, have your own life, personal life, still make you find things to do to make yourself still happy, to still make yourself enjoy life, because when you begin to have children, most women don't enjoy life anymore. It's about tragedy. It's about how can I be feeding this child and I still have to cook, I still have to wash, I still have to do this. But when a woman is matured, she knows how to put all that in order. She knows how to, keep herself and just enjoy her life and insulate herself from all the problems that come with pregnancy, with marriage, with emotions, with feelings, with husband, with relationships, with friends, with job, with So maturity will help you to take care of your children and to still have your own life, to be giving birth to children and to still have your own life as well. So you are giving birth to children and you still have your own interesting life. You are still a lady, you still like yourself, you are still happy with yourself, you are still keeping yourself well, looking fine. You keep your life is still going on for you. Life does not cease and it does not stop. But that takes a lot of maturity. That takes a lot of maturity. Let me tell you, 80% of women cannot do that. 80% of women, when they are married, their life is already a mess. But when they begin to give birth to children, they just go through the motions. They just hardly survive it. And they just experience they sacrifice it, and they lose themselves basically at that time. Most of them are just totally lost, and they cannot just wait for those children to grow up. Have you seen, even if you are church people, I'm sure some of you you are aware of many young ladies who used to go to churches and they were very active in churches before, or in church before they married. Maybe after they're still married, they're still active, but when they begin to have children, they just disappear. A lot of families, a lot of women, they cannot keep up. They cannot keep up with the demands, with the church ministry or everything when they get married. When they get married and they begin to have children, it's not because they are bad. It's not because they don't want to go to church. It's not because they don't want to serve. It's not because they don't want to minister. But they just lose control. So it takes a lot of maturity and a lot of preparedness for a woman to be able to cope and still be able to have her own life when she is already having her children. So number 3, the next thing that this thing will do for you, maturity will do for you when you marry, is that it will help you to delegate. You'll be able to find wisdom to delegate some of your assignments and some of your responsibilities to other people. You'll be able to, you will know what to do by yourself and what to give to other people. You will know how to find the means and the resources, how to get your husband to be able to, so that you don't do a lot of things that women do, that mothers do, that married women do, or women that you don't need to do, that you could delegate. So, and a lot of women don't know how to do that. And that is why, their lives is always clumsy and, buried in all those things. So, but a matured woman will know how to set herself free from a lot of excess luggage and excess work that she will have to delegate. Then finally, the fourth thing that maturity will do for you is that maturity will help you to still keep onto your principles. Normally, when people marry, their principles just fly over the windows. That's why most people that are married, they don't recognize themselves anymore, especially when they begin to have children. But maturity, they help you to maintain, to live by principles, to live by standards, to live by some standards, some ideals. And because of that matured principles that they have in their lives, and because of those ideals and standards they have in their lives, they remain the same. So they remain the same lady before they were married. When they keep on growing, but their principles remain, their standards remain, and their ideals remain, their value systems remain. So these are some of the things. So these women are able to be flexible, keeping their principles. They are flexible, but they keep their principles. They know when to change, they know when to bend, they know when to, but they still keep they maintain their core values. So these women are able to keep their core values despite whatever is going on in their lives. They remain wholesome, they remain themselves. Those are the things that maturity will do for you. You know what? They are calling me now. I'm here because I have court today. So, and they are calling me. The judge is going to the hall now. Or it's already there waiting for me to come. So I have to go. I will not be able to read your comments, unfortunately. But I will see you tonight. I hope this was able to help you. I hope this was a blessing. If you have not shared the link yet, please let's quickly go and share the link. Look under the video. You will see the button there. Go press the share button. Let's go and share the link. Let's go and share this message. Get a copy of it, and the way to get a copy is for you to share it. So press the share button. It will come to your timeline. You could go and watch it later on, or you could even write some links. Some comments. I would like you to write some comments. Write some remarks on the video, so that your friends and your family members or anybody that's on your timeline will be able to watch and be able to see. And this might be a blessing to some people. So, well, it's a pity I will not be reading your comments now. I will read them later on when I'm through with the court. But I have to go now. But I hope you are blessed. It was nice. Write your comments anyway. Go ahead and write those comments anyway. When I come back, I will read them. So let's go and put our thoughts down. And I will see you tonight. God bless you guys. Bye.